Hello, everybody. On today's video, I thought we'd do something a little bit different. And you've probably been reading in the news or maybe seeing on some online chats of this interesting thing called AI and what they're using it for these days. Now, one of the two AIs that you probably heard about recently is this one called ChatGPT, which I have over on my left side of my screen. And you've also probably heard of Bard, which I have over on my right side of the screen. What I thought we'd do today to have a little bit of fun is we try to see what we can use these AIs for us over in Pilot Land. So the first thing I did is I've asked both of these together, saying, what can I use for this particular tool? How can pilots use ChatGPT? ChatGPT said it can do flight planning. Says it can, in the case of emergency, it can use this to handle situations. Okay. It says we can go create contact with air traffic control. Interesting. And it also says it can be used for a training tool for pilots. It can ask us questions and give us answers. Cool. We'll put that to the test. Over here on the right, of course, Bard says that it can help us plan flights. Alrighty then. Communicate with air traffic control. Really? Provide situational awareness. I find this very, very interesting. Okay. Diagnose and troubleshoot problems. Oh, we'll see about that. Provide training and education. It probably will. And of course, we got some R&D here, so it won't be the easiest thing to be able to check. So the first thing I want to do is I just want to be able to go ahead and see how the flight planning is. And this will be kind of the beginning. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be planning a flight. Let me go ahead and grab a lovely copy of Sky Vector here. Don't leave home without it. We're going to go from Hartford to Portland to Maine. Now, when I fly this flight in the real world, generally what I do, if I'm doing this IFR, you'd probably be taking one of the Victor Airways that comes along, or you go through Boston and kind of up. Especially if I flip over to low altitude right now, usually you pop up here and then you get clearance and just kind of zigzag over there pretty quickly. If it's VFR, I kid you not, I draw a straight line and I take the straight line. The only place I really have to watch out for things is when you get really close to Boston. Generally, you're going to be talking to Boston Approach anyway. They're usually pretty good. And you also have Manchester right here. The big thing with Manchester, of course, is the altitude is kind of high. So if you're doing like 3,500 feet or something like this, you're going to choo-choo right through this. So we're going to use a cruise speed of 116, and we're just going to go ahead and assume at 5,500 feet. Obviously, things like weather, as you can tell, it's extreme weather up here in Manchester today. We're going to have to see how well they handle that. So let's go give it a try. So the prompt's going to look like this. Create a flight plan, helps if you spell it correctly, between KHFD and KPDM at an altitude of, let's say, what do we say, 3,500 feet in a Cessna 172. The flight will leave at 2300 Zulu time. All right, let's go ahead and give it a whack and see what happens. And they're off. So the first things first is the speed difference between these two AIs. You'll be able to see this basically straight up, done on the right side. So while ChatGPT is getting caught up here, I'm going to come zing over here real fast. Let's see, Henderson Executive Airport. No. And we're going to Painfield. Nope. And the route here is runway 22 left to Portland to 31 left. No. 3,500 feet. Estimated time was about this. This is actually kind of accurate. It would take about 2 hours. Actually, what am I saying? It would take about an hour and 10 minutes. So this is a little off. Fuel on board 40. Let's see. The weather forecast is clear skies with a visibility of 10 miles. Hold on a second. Let me hold my mouse here. Let's see. Broken at 1,800. Ooh. Pull that one out of the way here. Let's see. Temperature. Actually, it's pretty accurate. Dew point, that's fine. Wind from the west, it changes. Alternate airports would be Seattle. That's a little ways away. And we also have Pasco, Kennewick, Richland Airport. Oof. VFR, and we got some advice down here at the bottom in case weather notices airmen. I like that. Of course, IFR if you can, if you're legal for it. Let's go take a look over here. Now, this is a little different. There's a couple things I'm noticing. First of all, it captured the correct airports here. It recognized our aircraft and it recognized our departure time. It also recognized our altitude of 3,500 feet. Scrolling down here, we have a lot of vectors. 20 is basically going to be north a bit. Then it's 350 is going to be a little bit northwest. Then we're going to come 40 for nautical miles. And then we're going to come left over there. Then we're going to come back. And then we're going to come back. And then we're going to do the ILS approach on a VFR flight plan into runway 11. Now, I know what you're thinking. And before you even think of it, yes, they do have a runway 11 over up out in Portland there. And if you're curious about the current wind direction, when this has actually been generated, it's 300 at 5. So the wind's actually coming kind of from this direction. So when you look at the actual airport itself, 360 would probably be a better runway to land on, even though it's a little bit shorter. But we still have plenty at 6,100 feet. Plus, for us, if we're flying a VFR, we want to take a left turn here and park at the general aviation anyway. So it kind of, it's got the ILS part. So we'll continue. Now, you're also probably saying, how good are these vectors here? Are these accurate, or is it something I could sit here? This would take me a very long time to bang those vectors out. But what I can do is I can actually add up the distances to see how close we get to 154. and we end up at the distance of about 175. So in this particular case, most likely because of all that zagging, this is actually probably a fairly accurate number. So now what we'll do is we'll go ahead and take that same flight plan and we'll regenerate it. And this time what we'll do is we'll do an IFR flight plan just to make things a little bit different for us. And of course, since we're traveling that direction, this is going to have to go up to going to be 5,000 feet. Control A, Control C. Let's go ahead and submit that. Let's go down here and submit that as well. Now, IFR flight plans, there's a lot of different things we could expect to see here. So we'll kind of see how this sort of shakes out between the two. All right, let's see here. Henderson Executive, Payne Field. We have a bunch of runways that are imaginary here. I haven't actually seen Payne Field. They might have a 3-1 right. Just made it fuel on board, not too far off for Cessna 172. Weather was about the same. I love the fact that they're asking us to go to Seattle. IFR flight plan, I should file it. That's correct. It gives us some really, really good pieces of advice here as far as notice to airmen. I like that. Coming down here, it's giving us some interesting stuff here about when we should file. Yeah, please do that. Usually it's like the previous day. We've got a little route. Okie dokie. Let's see here. This would not take that long. 40 gallons. Okay. Fuel stops. Seattle, IFR. Things we need to have. This is actually a pretty good. I don't actually think this is a required equipment for IFR, but we're also missing a lot of other things that we need for IFR, and you don't need an ILS. There's other ways to receive and get on the ground. Let's see how ChatGPT did. All right, let's see here. We're going from here. Oh, they've given us some VORs this time. Beautiful. Let's go ahead and put those VORs to use here. So we'd be going to Putnam, we'd go into Barnes, we go to Keene, we go to Concord, and we go back direction. Let's see how we did. Oh, okie dokie. Let's go flip on and see if there's any airways around that particular zone here. And again, I'm not picking on their product. Look at this. It looks like it did grab onto an airway there, or it's just a coincidence, but it immediately ignored the other one that would take us right over to this position here. So this is definitely interesting. It works. We could certainly fly this. I find it interesting going all the way out here to Putnam and then swing back over here. I feel like you just go direct Barnes. But as far as picking the right VORs, not terrible. Not terrible. We could make this work. Obviously, we'd pick different airways if we were on an IFR flight plan as well. Now, the other thing I find interesting with ChatGPT here is some of these clearances are actually not bad. The departure frequency, that's not correct. That would be, I got to remember what that is, like 127.8. So this is a totally different number here. One thing that I don't appreciate is they don't give you the frequencies for the individual little VORs here. So that's kind of interesting. Over on this side, that's not a route. I can't work with that. I mean, I can go direct, but this isn't bad. This isn't bad. With a little bit of polish, this could probably be a little bit stronger here. And obviously, I'm sure if I regenerated this response, I might end up with a different set of VORs. Like if I went up here, for example, and create an IFR using VOR, if I type that in, for example, flight plan is 2 words, my bad. Control A, Control C, save and submit. Let's go to a BARD. One difference, like I said already, is just the difference in speed between these two. The BARD is definitely a lot quicker, and it also, at least in my experiences, it's less likely to kind of get busted here. Same thing we got last time. Oh, wait a minute, we got something. Here we go. We have a route. Sweet. Let's go ahead and grab that, and we'll toss that right in there. What did they say? We're going by Victor 42. We're going up to KTTC. That's an airport, Victor 66. And we're going, okay. That'll be interesting. Let's see if we're able to even process this. Okay, nope. Unfortunately, 918 miles. It just appeared for a second there. So not quite. Now, one of the things I appreciate here, though, is when we asked it to do VOR, you can see that it's got us at 50 heading. That after turn right of heading after, then you go Augusta, then you go back to Portland. Okay, that's interesting. That kind of went its own way. So I think without saying this one, you can, the results speak for themselves here. I won't comment. You can decide how reliable and accurate you all think this all is. Now, the next thing that they said that you could do using these tools is the air traffic control. So let's give that a try. Let's say we're number 432, Mike Juliet, is at Hartford Jet Center. At Hartford KHFD, with Bravo, requesting a flight following to Cape Aviation at, let's see, we'll do the same flight we just did, 3,500. So let's go ahead and paste that into ChatGPT, and let's go pop it over here. Let's see here. So we got an interesting thing here. I did not call that one correct. One of the mistakes I did is I would have had to have called it. And I noticed over on this side is we've got kind of a little story going on here. This is kind of like a little back and forth. I mean, they've got the tail number correct. We've got Payne Field that seems to have an interesting obsession with it. So I'm actually going to come over here and fix that real quickly. I don't need to say this. Hartford Jet Center. I really need to say Brainerd Tower. We'll go ahead and say Hartford, just to help out the AI just a little bit here. Hartford Brainerd Tower, comma 432 Mike Juliet, Hartford Jet Center with Bravo, requesting flight following to Portland, Maine at 3,500. We have with Bravo, good. So let's go ahead and save that one more time. I'll go ahead and pop that over to Bard. Let's see if it can be a little bit better. Oh, there we go. Now, Brainerd Tower, Mike, look at Harvard General requesting flight following. Yeah, that's all accurate. And normally what they would do is they give us back. Okay, so that was okay. Then I could say Brainerd Tower, Brainerd Ground, Hartford whoops, HA, Hartford Brainerd Ground, 432 Mike Juliet is ready to taxi, VFR to Portland. Interesting. So it does have the correct accent piece there, but it doesn't actually give us the instructions itself. So unfortunately for this one is you can kind of do these sort of things. We can go ahead and kind of go back and forth. So we have a little bit of stuff here and kind of creating that sort of back and forth conversation with ATC, but it does give you some pretty useful information as far as kind of fine tuning this one a little bit. One thing I like this, follow the blue line to runway 22 left, 432, wind 10 from the west. I actually think it's fairly accurate. Let's see, ground, Bart, squawk, 1200, that would be pretty good. VFR heading 270 would be due west. Kind of strange if we're going up north and east. So we can see that so far we're struggling a little bit. It's not, it's getting there. It's getting there. So now we're going to go ahead and explore what happens if you try to introduce some kind of aviational trap, maybe a technical problem, and see how the AIs kind of go at it. So the first thing I'm interested in doing is going ahead and creating us some pilots. So we're going to have two different options here. We have, let's see, Captain Sarah Jones, 45 years old, captain. Yeah, that's about right. And of course, we have Lieutenant, junior grade, Jake Taylor on the right. Wow, he's young. Over here on the left, we have Samantha Sam Carter, U.S. Navy, retired. Okay, this will be kind of fun. And let's see here. We have Ace Johnson, U.S. No, Ace. I like that. And so we have a couple characters. Now, you're probably saying, why are we creating characters here? Because one of the things I want to do is I want to put our characters into situations in an airplane and see what happens when the AI tries to generate what next. Let's try that. So now what we'll do is we'll have the AIs kind of create themselves a scene. And now that we have the characters, we can have a little bit of funny. Oop, I meant to do, my bad. So this is interesting. I did not mean to do those two. I actually got to come back here and fix this. It's going to be Sarah, and it's going to be Jake. I think this Jake is actually pretty appropriate because two different AIs came with two J characters and two S characters. I just thought that kind of fun. So it's going to go ahead and generate these two scenes here. They have the engines awaiting roaring as final operations. They're waiting for clearance, and are going to assist us in a solo flight. Got it, Commander. Obviously, Jack is pretty hardcore. We forgot that our commander was actually U.S. Navy retired, but that's okay. We're not going to worry about that. Bank left, follow their lead. Each lost their own thoughts. Just have been honored flying. Yeah, great stuff. I love the story you're generating. In case you couldn't tell, I love that aspect of this. All right. This is very different tones between the two stories. All right, so I'll continue the story. But the F-18F suffers a compressor stall during flight. Okay, so for everybody who's unfamiliar with a compressor stall, basically what a compressor stall is when the air coming into a jet engine can no longer smoothly get through the blades. It actually, if you remember, the jet engines are basically really, really fast, rapid spinning blades. And what happens is you can actually stall those if you hit the wrong angle of attack. So there's a couple things we're interested in here. First of all, if you have a compressor stall, your N1's going to go nuts. Your ITT is going to spike, and usually you tend to have a tough time controlling the airplane. The best way to recover from a compressor stall, of course, is reduce power. That's a big one. And reduce angle of attack, if that's the issue. So let's see what we have here. As they continue to fly, a sudden loss of power in the engines. They scan the gauge and saw the compressor was stalling. Okay, so we don't have a specific gauge, but that's okay. But she immediately recognized the compressor stall, immediate action. Fantastic. Jack Blunt with the emergency procedures or introduction. Oh, look at this. Reduce power. Fantastic. She tried to clear the stall by adjusting the flight controls, but the stall persisted. Okay. And then she decides she needs to eject. I like that. Pull the ejection handles. Boom. Gone. Okay, so they're getting out of the plane, which, not bad. If you can do an emergency landing, go for it. All right, so what we have over in Bard here. Let's see, they're flying their F-18, a compressor stall. It's a compressor stall. Oh, wait, what? Okay. They tried to regain, but it's no use. The jet's spiraling out. Wow, they spiraled? Yikes. We're going to crash, I know. Let's see, something. He tells Sarah to eject, and she does so. Okay, so we both ejected. So that's actually pretty good there. And also, I like the little flight surgeon little detail here. Pretty cool. So now what we'll do is we'll go ahead. So not terrible. Suffers a total. We'll do a hydraulic failure. All right, so there's a lot of things we could do to correct a total hydraulic failure depending on how bad it is. Now, what I'm interested in here is, does it mention they can't control the airplane? That's going to be kind of the key technical detail here. Sudden loud hissing from the left engine has started to Wait, what? Okay, that's pretty serious. What's happening? We lost the hydraulic pressure. We need to land this bird. Wait, what? Let's see. Assess the situation. Decreasing. What do you mean? You could. It still would go. They'd have to land the plane manually. That's how we always land planes. Differential thrust. Okay. 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 I like that. And air brakes to control our speed. Okay. Not bad. Not bad. If we had a hydraulics failure, we might not actually have our flaps and air brakes, but that's okay. Let's see here. Descend much slower. No, they were flying much slower. What? Yes, this would be correct. Yep. 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 Work the throttle and air brakes. Might not work. And again, not too bad with the jolt they touched. They did carrier landing. Whoa! Okay, so that's actually pretty cool. Guess what the hook goes down on? But anyway, we'll ignore all that. Obviously, ram air turbine. You got my feels. All right, let's go take a look over at Google Bard here. The whole hydraulic failure, losing hydraulics. I'm getting control. It's no use. We're going down. We can still make it. But this is correct. It's no use. They wouldn't have any control over, again, total hydraulic failure. Even if the ram air turbine didn't work and you couldn't get a backup power and there's no reversion, yeah, that could be pretty painful. Let's see. The jet hits the ground and they're thrown from the cockpit and they wake up and they're alive. What? An F-18? Yeek. Okay. Okay. So comment here. Obviously, very interesting as far as the interpretation goes. They interpret as we need to land. They need to interpret it as they're just going to smack into the ground. So interesting. So the next one we'll try is probably one of my favorites. We're going to do a left wing separation. All right. So if we lose the left wing, we should get a left spiral, potentially a spin. The correct thing to do now would be to get out of the plane. So that would be an ejection. So we're looking for a couple things here. First of all, we're looking for how it's sheared if it shows up. We're also looking for that left spin. It should say nothing about going forward. It should say nothing about, oh, no, we're having engine trouble. It should be no. Immediately snap spin. Let's get out. All right, let's see how we did here. With a bang, she heart raced as she felt the aircraft shudder. What's happening? She looked out left. The entire left wing had separated, leaving them struggle. Okay, so she called communication. Remember, aviate, navigate, communicate over the radio. Situation, losing altitude quickly. Yeah, you would. You would. You don't have a wing anymore. That definitely happens. Let's see. Grout goes right. His car. There's a sudden jarring. Hit the water with tremendous force. Wait, what? Why'd you stay in? Okay. 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 I'm going to move on over here to Bard here. Cool. Let's see here. Swinging over to this side here. Left wing. Thrown into a... They got that correct. So that would be instant spin. That is correct. You go into a wicked spin there. Losing control, but it shouldn't. Yeah. You don't have a wing. Get out. Get out. Get out. Wait. What? 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 But how would you stabilize it without a wing? Obviously, the F-18 is much stronger than I thought it was originally, and they managed to recoil and land safely. They're both shaken up but alive. Interesting. Interesting. Very, 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 very interesting. So, okay. So there are definitely some things cool going on here. They definitely have some interesting ideas, but like I said, and again, the examples here are cherry picked, and the good folks who always apologize for these things will always pull those out. But you can see there's no cheating here. I typed in everything exactly as you kind of saw. And obviously, things can be different. Like our F-18, for example, maybe the reversion system is good enough that you could make a safe carrier landing. In the case of a wing loss, maybe it wasn't the entire wing that kind of happened. So it's kind of an interesting little situation that it kind of creates between the two. So what we saw here was a couple different things. First of all was their recommendations on what to use the software for. Like I said, we had some kind of neat little answers for that. The air traffic control, we took a look at the flight planning, we took a look at the ATC, which I played with a little bit before, and it does kind of work depending on how you have it set up. Took a look at these kind of emergency sort of situations, and there's one more thing I want to look at. All right, so let's see what happens if the pilot passes out and I have to control it. So let's see what they recommend here. Over on the right, stay calm. Nice. Check on the pilots. Nice. Take control of the plane. Yeah, I like this. Make sure they're unconscious first. Okay. Let's see. Communicate with air traffic control. I like that. Land. Wow. That's the best advice I've seen so far today. Landed safely. I don't disagree. All right. Let's see here. Calm demeanor. Same. Delegate them to help you. Let's see. Take control of the plane. Okay, so we're actually pretty close here. If it doesn't have an autopilot or functioning, you might have to manually control. Wait, what if we... Okay, okay, you're right, you're right. Co-pilot, obviously if there's a co-pilot, they'll be flying. Remain to stay calm, focused, and attentive. I like that. Keep communicating with air traffic control. Let's see here. Remember, the plane is complex, specialized, and taking without can be extremely dangerous. I like that little disclaimer. That's actually pretty awesome right there. Try to get some help with this. Best advice ever. I love that. Fantastic right there. Yeah, please. There might be somebody else on the plane who can safely fly the plane. Go find them. They're going to be a lot safer there. And I love this little advice here. So as far as it is goes with air traffic control, or I should say, flying in general, there's definitely some improvement to be made here, especially with the accuracy of the waypoints, with the flight planning, and some of the different kind of understanding of how things work. But keep in mind that these things are not based on technical knowledge; they're based on writing. So when people write a story about an airplane that loses an engine and they safely land, that's basically what's going to help shape its understanding and its response that we're actually seeing here. It doesn't have a 4 year of engineering degree. It might get a better SAT grade than I can get, but that problem still kind of states with that kind of technical background. With time, this is going to improve even better, and you'll be able to actually probably see stuff like this in the cockpit in a few years, which is actually pretty exciting. But other than that, enjoy.